Hey friends, it's Miss Etheridge. Let's do a little math today. We have been working this week with the real number system. We've talked about estimating square roots. We've talked about square roots and cube roots. We've talked about scientific notation. So we're going to put all of it together today, and we're going to work on comparing and ordering. So I'm going to do a couple of these problems with you, and then you are going to finish the rest on your own. Okay? Up here at the top, they give you the helpful hints. As we told you in class, always simplify when possible. Make your numbers easier. We're going to write fractions, percents, and non-perfect square cube roots as decimals. And we're going to convert scientific notation to standard form. And then we're going to put them in order from least to greatest. So you should have this sheet in front of you, and you should also have a piece of paper with your name entitled Comparing and Ordering, because you are going to staple your work to the back of this sheet of paper so we can see what you are doing. Okay? So put your name on it too, please. All right, so let's look at the first one. So when I'm showing my work, I'm just going to write my problem over here. I'm going to put 2/5. I got 5.8 times 10 to the negative 2. And square root of 3. 6%. 4/9. And 2 to the negative 1. Okay, so I've written everything out there. All right, let me see if I can focus for you. All right, so let's convert these numbers to decimals. All right, so let's start with this one. We have a fraction. To change a fraction to a decimal, we are dividing the numerator by the denominator. So I'm going to divide 5 into 2. Of course, that doesn't go, so I'm going to add a 0. 5 into 20 goes 4 times. So 2/5 is 4/10. Okay. All right, scientific notation. 5.8 times 10 to the negative 2. We said because this is a negative exponent, we move the decimal to the left 2 places because this is a tiny number. It's a number less than 1. So if I move it 2 places, I would have 0.058. Okay. All right, square root of 3. When we estimated square roots, we said, okay, find the perfect square below it and the perfect square above it. So the square root of 1 and the square root of 4. Square root of 1 is 1. Square root of 4 is 2. So we know it'll be 1 point something. We said the difference in these two numbers make the top. So 3 minus 1. And the difference in these numbers make the bottom. So I'd have 1 and 2/3. Now, if you change 2/3 to a decimal, and we did this one the other day, you're going to divide 3 into 2, so really 3 into 20. 6, 18. You're going to get that 2 again, so you can see what's happening. We're repeating. So 1.6 repeating is that value. Okay. All right, 6%. When we're making a percent into a decimal, we move the decimal 2 places to the left because it's like you're dividing by 100. So the decimal's here. It's at the end of the number when you don't see it. So if I back it up 2 places, I would have 0.06. Okay. All right, and then we have 4/9. I'm not sure that we told you the other day when we were talking about repeating decimals, but this is a good spot to tell you. Anytime you have a number over 9, that is a repeating decimal. That's a shortcut for you to look for. But if we did do 9 into 4, it goes 4 times, 36. I'll keep getting the 4, and it will be a repeating. But if you can see, oh, it's over 9, so that's 4/10 repeating. That'll save you some time. And then 2 to the negative 1. Any number to the negative exponent means that this 2 needs to go to the bottom, that it's a fraction. So I'd have 1 over 2, and 1/2 is 0.5. All right, now let me mark what numbers, because this is a lot of numbers, but it's okay. Just try to keep track of what you're doing. So I'm looking at 0.4. I'm looking at 58 thousandths. I'm looking at 1 6/10 repeating, at 600ths, at 4/10 repeating, and at 5/10. All right, so now I'm going to write them below just so I can actually look at them without everything else in my way. Now, when you are comparing decimals, the best thing to do is to make them all the same size so that you can truly see how much you have. So my largest one is 3 decimal places out, so I'm going to add some zeros or 4s. It's a repeating, so I got to add 4s. Okay, so I'm really looking at putting in order. 400, I got a 58, I got a 1. What I should know automatically when you got a whole number, this number is more than 1, this is going to be your largest number. Okay, so I can go ahead and just put it, that's my largest number. I've got it. I'm going to mark through it that it's done. I've got a 60, I got all these 4s, and I got 500. So think about what is the smallest from what we have listed, and 0.058 is our smallest number. Okay, and so that one's gone. Then I've got the 60. That would be our next number. Okay. Then I'm looking at, here's my 3 choices that I have left. The 400 would be next. Notice once I get them all the same size, I can just look at the number. I don't even really have to worry about looking at the decimal right now. I'm just comparing what's on the right side of it. And then the 444, so that 4/10 repeating, and then the 500. Okay. Now, let's get it on this paper. So, number 1. So we said 2/5. Let's write it with our decimals. So 2/5 we said was 0.4. We said the 5.8 times 10 to the negative 2 was 0.058. Square root of 3 was 1.6 repeating. 6% was 0.06. 4/9 was 4/10 repeating. And 2 to the negative 1 was 0.5. Okay. All right, so we said this was the smallest. This we said was next. Then the 0.4. Then the 0.4 repeating, the 0.5, and then we said this was our largest number. Okay, so we had to do a little work with it, but once you do a couple, it's not too bad. All right, so final thing you need to do, because it says order the set from least to greatest. So we said our least number was the 0.58, so I'm going to write it down. I'll use a different color so you can see what I'm doing. I need to write it down in the original form. So 5.8 times 10 to the negative 2 was my first number. My second number was the 6%. My third number was the 2/5. My fourth number was the 4/9. Fifth number was 2 to the negative 1. And my sixth number was the square root of 3. So there's my numbers from least to greatest. But you can see I did not have room in that box to do all of that work. So that's why we need to have it out, okay? You need to be neat about it, number it, show what your numbers are. The neater you are, the easier it will be to put things back together. Okay? All right, now look at, I'm going to kind of skip around a little bit. Look at number 6. Let's look at 6, I think will be good. Yes. Now, notice this says greatest to least. When we did number 1, least to greatest. So now we're going the opposite direction. Okay? So greatest to least. All right, so again, I'm going to write my problem down. Turn so you can see both. All right, so I have 1/9. I just told you any number over 9 is that number repeating. We got 10%, so we move our decimal to the left. So 0.1. We have the square root of 2. We'll come back to that in a minute. We have 1%, so move that decimal to the left 2 places, so 0.01. We have 3 to the negative 3, so that's 1 over 3 to the third, which is 1 over 27. We'll come back to that in just a moment and divide it out. And then I've got 3/25. Okay. All right, so I've got a decimal, I got a decimal, now I'm good. So I only have a few to work with. So the square root of 2, so the perfect square below it is the square root of 1. Perfect square above it is the square root of 4. So my number is between 1 and 2. All right, remember on top is the difference in these numbers, and on the bottom is the difference here. So I'm looking at 1 and 1/3. Now when we did this one the other day in my class, I told you that if you watch for the 1/3, that's a decimal number that you should know. When you divide out 1/3, the 1 divided by 3, you'll get 3/10 repeating. So I've got 1.3 repeating. All right, and then 1/27. So 27, it doesn't go into 1. It doesn't go into 10, but I got to put that 0 up there. And 27 into 100, I believe will go 3 times. So 3 times 7 is 21. Carry the 2. 3 times 2 is 6. Plus 2 is 8. We get 19. So 27 into 190. Let's try. I'm doing the math here. Give me just a sec. Try not to. All right, let's try 7. Maybe wrong, but let's try it. So 7 times 7 is 49. Carry the 4. 7 times 2 is 14. Plus 4 is 18. Woo, barely made it. All right, and I believe for what we have, we're going to be okay because this is going to be a 0 after it. So we'll leave that there and see if that's enough to be able to put them in order. And then I've got 3/25. I'm going to do this over here so I have a little more room. So 25 into 3. 25 goes into 30 one time. And 25 into 50 2 times. So that is 0.12. All right, so let's look at what we've got. I've got 1/10 repeating. I've got 1/10. I've got 1 3/10 repeating. I've got 1/100ths. I've got 0.037, and I got 0.12. Okay, let's write them under their numbers. So 1/9 was 0.1 repeating, 10% was 0.1, square root of 2 was 1.3 repeating. I got 1%, it's 0.01. 3 to the negative 3 was 0.037, and 3/25 was 0.12. Okay, so that's a lot of numbers there. Let's use our scratch paper here. Let's make them all the same size. Let's see. So, sorry. So I've got I'm going to make them 3 places because that's my biggest place here. So I know I got 3 1s. I'm going to add 2 zeros to this one. This will be 3s because the 3 is repeating. I just need a 0 for that one. And then I need a 0 on this one. This is a little easier to look at. Okay, this we know is the largest. Okay. All right, so that's it. So out of these numbers, think, okay, this is 100, 111. This is only 10, a 37, and a 120. So definitely this is our smallest number. So 0.01. Okay. Then we're going to do the 0.037. Then we've got the 100. We got the 0.111 and the 0.120. Okay, and look what I did. That's least to greatest, but that's okay because we're going to write them greatest to least. So I have them in order. We'll just write them backwards. Sorry about that, but I'm so used to doing least to greatest. I did greatest to least. That's okay. Same kind of idea. All right, so let's write our numbers down here. So 0.01 we said was the smallest, so that's really what we're going to write last. So let's find this 1.33. So this is our greatest number. So that's the first one we're going to write down. Okay? So see, it's really okay to do at least to greatest. You just have to be sure you mark them here, the biggest number first. All right, then we said the 0.120, which was the 3/25. So that would be our next number. All right, then we've got the 0.1 repeated. So that would come next. We got the 0.100. So that was this number. Then we've got down to here. Let's see where we're at. I'm going backwards. So we're doing the 0.037, so that's our 5th. So our smallest number is this one. Okay. Whew. All right, so the first number I'm going to write down is that 1.3 repeated, which was a square root of 2. Square root of 2 is the greatest. Then we said we're going to have the 0.12, so that's 3/25. Then we've got the 1/9. Then we got 10%. Then we have the 3/25. And then we have 3 to the negative 3. And there you go. There's our greatest to our least. All right, guys, let's see what you can do.